There are a few other people I'm hoping may join us, but we'll crack on with things because we have got a very packed agenda tonight. And as I say, I see Terry is just joining us. Welcome and apologies. Apologies from club members. The only apologies I've received are from Michelle, although from what George has just said, Janet may not be joining us tonight. We've got a number of guests to welcome. In no particular order, we have Ben Brockman and Sarah. Now, Ben will say a few words in a short while. He's the recipient of our Ted Osmond Youth Award this year, and Sarah very kindly nominated Ben for the award. So I'll pass the floor over to those guys in a short while. We have Phil Smith from the Food Bank, who again, I'll pass the floor over in a short while to say a few words. As you know, we made a financial contribution to the food bank just recently, and also it's the location of where the second of our club-funded community defibrillators will be based. We have our speaker tonight, Cletus. Great to see you, Cletus. So we're all looking forward to your talk there. We have Kelly Ann from, hopefully I've got the club right here, the Rotary Club of South East Nassau.
That's right, yep. Hi, guys.
Hello.
We have, who else we got? I was just looking here. Is he still very disappeared? Yes, we've got Sirash from Edgware and Stanmore. Great to see you, Sirash.
Hi, and you.
We have Dominica from Montego Bay, our friends down there, one of our regular guests. Great to see you again, Dominica.
Everyone.
And we also have Karine from Lebanon. Before I do move on, as we were just briefly talking just a minute ago with the events over in Beirut a few days ago, I did send a message to Karine on behalf of the club asking of herself and her family. It's great that you're with us tonight, Karine, and it was great to get your reply yesterday saying that you and your family are in the main all safe and well. There was a lot of damage to properties over there, so it's great to see you here, and we're all thinking about everyone over there in your homeland there after what's happened there. Okay, I think that's all the guests and everything we've got to do. Oh, and Mike.
Mike and Danny.
Hi.
And there are guests of Peter, and I think hopefully in a few months' time, Mike may be giving a talk to us at a club meeting. Okay, moving on to club news and events. A few to go through here. If you've not been on the club Facebook page in the last few days, in conjunction with Janet, we've had a brief conversation about this. The Teddy Together Trail, which we launched at the beginning of lockdown, we have now shut that project down. It's basically run its course. Although it was still getting a few visits to the Facebook page, really it was a benefit when we were in the main throes of lockdown and children and families were restricted to exercise in their immediate vicinity. Because restrictions have been lifted slightly, I think people are getting out and about a bit more now. So because we've not really added to that project over the last month or two at least, Janet and myself have decided that we're going to close that project down now. Janet, is there anything you wanted to say in addition to that at all? She's shaking her head. Okay. Peter, the usual weekly update. Any update on the bike collection, please?
We've run up against the problem. There's a national bike shortage.
Ah.
I'll be talking to you about the interim report that I was about to do for Ron Dixon, but I'll have a word with you outside the meeting about whether or not we're going to be able to carry it on, given that Andrew at Project Bike Hire can't get hold of any extra bikes at the moment.
Right. Okay. We'll discuss, if we speak about that later on or outside of the meeting, Peter, that'd be great. Okay. Just a reminder about the online bucket collection. That's still going on for the rest of this month. Club members and friends of the club, please share the post about that from the Facebook page. The more we can get the details about that online bucket collection out into the public awareness, hopefully the more we'll actually collect with that. Breaking news that has just come out from Rotary International today. They have announced who the Rotary International president for 2022-23 will be, and for the first time in Rotary's history, we will have a female international president that year. Jennifer Jones from Canada, who I think some of us have been expecting for at least a year or two to have been awarded that position, has actually now got it. So 2022-23, Jennifer Jones from Ontario, Canada, will be our Rotary International president. So that's fantastic news there. We're going to have a couple polls here in a second, guys. The first one, I did send a message out to all the club members via the WhatsApp group this morning. It's just to, as you would have seen from an email I sent out a few days ago, nominations for district officers for next year have to be in by the, I think it's the end of September. Graham has indicated that he would like to stand as district treasurer for a further year. As club president and as a club, we need to endorse any nominations. So I'm just going to launch a poll. Graham's sent me the nomination form, but are club members happy to endorse Graham's nomination for district treasurer for 21-22? So just club members, please. The poll is open now, so if you can indicate yes or no, and I can then submit that to the district secretary, and I can see from the votes from club members there that's a unanimous, Graham. So you'll be pleased to know there, Graham, that I will get that sent off to the district secretary after the meeting. Okay.
Thank you, Darren. I've always wanted to vote for myself.
You've done it now.
Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to get the next poll up here. So there we go. And the second poll, Roger informed me this morning that with our 50 club, or the George Benchfield Pension Fund, whichever way you want to call it, our usual monthly draw.
Totally unfair, I object.
True first, George, doesn't it? We've only sold 33 of tickets, so Roger was wondering whether it's worth carrying on with it. Now, there have been a couple options that presented themselves to us today. One which I've sent details in an email to all the club members, which I think really we can look at as a separate fundraising event, possibly, and that's to launch our own lottery, which is actually through a national organisation. I've sent details to club members about that. I'm not proposing to discuss that tonight. I'd like you all to have a look at that, think about it over the week. I'm going to try and find out a few more details, and then maybe next week we could have a further discussion. But with the 50 club, it has been suggested, because we're meeting online at the moment, we're actually making savings each week and not paying for our speaker meals. So we're making quite a big saving there. So it's been suggested that possibly the shortfall to make up the number of tickets sold up to 50 could perhaps come from the savings on the speaker meals. So if members are happy with that, that would then take it up to 50, so we can then start running the 50 club from next month. Any of the funds that get won by
The speaker.
those by the speaker funds tickets, which will be in effect the club, they go straight back into the club's charity fund. So if that happened, the club wins. If it's a member or a friend of a club or family member, if they win, obviously they get the winnings. So I'm just going to launch this poll. Are we happy to use?
Can I come in before you say that?
Yep.
As part of my suggestion was that as new members or other members If they want to buy more tickets, they will then buy the tickets from the club, which are held by the speaker. And initially we would replace the money that the club has spent from the speaker fund, if you like, and then they would go into the draw.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I think I've bought 3 to 4 tickets. If I wanted to buy another 2, I'd buy 2 that the club holds and repay the speaker fund.
So are we happy with that suggestion? Then basically the shortfall is taken from the speaker fund, so we can go ahead with 50 tickets sold to make it a worthwhile pot for potential winnings. So the poll is open, guys. So if club members could please vote on that.
Mine's disappeared, Darren, but I am in favour.
Okay, sorry, that's great.
Sorry, I think there's a fundamental problem with the poll. It's yes or no. There's no abstain, there's no object. And I think it needs further discussion personally.
My fault for not putting an abstention there, but the objection would in effect be the no option there, Janet. But looking at it, the majority of club members have actually voted in favour of that proposal. So okay. I think I'm happy in that respect that the majority of the members, by a clear majority, okay, have accepted that. So I think we'll
put me down as an abstain then, please.
Yep, that's no problem, Janet. I'm happy to do that. But as I say, there's a majority there. We've got that through there. Okay. Now, before I move on to the next item, I can just welcome another guest, Senalito, who's joining us again. Member of a Rotary Club in the Philippines, but he's stuck in the UK, I believe, still. So it's good to see you again. So welcome. Next item on the agenda is club visits. I forgot to mention this last week, but for club visits I've undertaken in the last week, I've been to the clubs of Montego Bay, Clinton, Iowa, Nassau Sunrise, and New Tampa. Have any of our other club members been to any of the clubs at all in the last week or so?
Are you getting air miles?
I wish. I wish. If only, Janet.
Darren, you and I were at a Zoom meeting of clubs together last Friday, and there's another one tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's no news to bring back.
Yeah, I didn't mention that, but yeah, last Friday, Peter and myself attended a meeting of the Plymouth area clubs together. We've got a second meeting tomorrow night. Hopefully we'll have a few more of the clubs attending that, but as club members may be aware, we did actually have a Plymouth clubs together a couple of years ago. That's probably about the second or third incarnation of it, actually, I think. We are trying to get it up and running again to try and get a bit of better cohesion and working together between the clubs in the immediate Plymouth area. So fingers crossed that will work this time. So as we get updates on that, we will let you all know. Any other club visits from club members? Seeing none, okay. The next item, it's a great pleasure to welcome 2 young, outstanding members of our community to our meeting tonight. Every year we try to recognise a young member of our Plympton community, and this year's no exception. Last Sunday I was pleased to catch up with Sarah and Ben to present the award. Sarah nominated a friend of hers, Ben Brockman, who's done a tremendous amount of work for Cancer Research UK. So I was just going to throw the floor over a second to Sarah, if you'd just like to say a few words as to why you nominated Ben for this award.
So thank you for having me. Yeah, I nominated Ben because I've been friends with him for a number of years now, but I only found out recently like how much he's done for cancer research, and him and his family have done it for several years. And the main reason I nominated him was because like he doesn't really appreciate how good the work he does is, so I wanted him to sort of realise how great the work he is doing is, and to sort of get him wider recognition from not only the people that are involved directly in the charity. I wanted it to be more widespread, the work that he does.
Okay, Sarah, thank you. And Ben, if I can pass the floor over to yourselves, I believe you've got something with you that you might like to show the club members, which is the trophy. And if you'd like to say a few words about the award, that'd be fantastic. We can't hear you there, Ben.
Music.
Try again.
We're having a good look at everybody, but we won't see Ben unless he makes a noise.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you now, Ben, I think.
Okay, yeah. So, like quite a few years ago, me and my family took part in this event called Rotary for Life. It was in Liscard, and so I think the chair of the event like was unavailable or something. So my dad took over it, and like was like the temp chair for that year. And then in the following year, I don't know if we did another year or not, but then he made his own event, Relay for Life in Plymouth. And we've been working for that like for quite a few years now. Raised quite a lot of money, and I've been going with my family and Bob's Crusaders team. I don't know if you've seen that. And I've always just found it a lot of fun, to be honest. It's like, I've always enjoyed everything I've done. And like, it's just nice to think about like everything I've done. And I wouldn't replace it for like anything. It's been a great experience.
And I believe, Ben, that quite often you're one of the biggest fundraisers as well on the relay, aren't you, each year?
That's not me.
No, yeah. I'm just doing the meeting now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, yeah, I have one of the awards here. So, got a young
wonderful.
fundraiser of the month, and that was this year in February. I've got quite a few of those, and it's just a lot of fun. I've taken part in a lot of things and tried to do as much as I can, to be honest.
Fantastic. And you've got the trophy there that I presented to you on Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah, well done, David.
So I think.
Well done, Ben.
Well done. Well done.
Well done, Ben.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I think we'll all agree that Ben is a very worthy winner of the award this year. Which is great to see. And it's also quite refreshing to see one of his friends actually nominating. In the past, it's usually sort of teachers or parents, etc., who nominate the person who wins. So it's great, and it's quite refreshing to see one of Ben's peers actually nominate him. So Sarah, thank you ever so much for nominating Ben as well. And Ben, thank you for coming here tonight, and well done again, mate. A very worthy winner. You're both very welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting. So, but if you do want to shoot off, we'll understand. But as I say, if you want to stay on, you'll be more than welcome.
Yeah, I gotta go pack for Disneyland actually, because we're going tomorrow, so I need to go do that.
No
But
problem.
thanks for having me.
Yeah, I got to shoot off my tea as well. But thanks for having us, and yeah, thanks for choosing
Thanks
Ben
for
as the
coming.
winner.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, another presentation that I recently made on behalf of a club, or it wasn't so much a presentation, because we actually made the financial transfer online, but I went down to visit the Plympton Foodbank, and I know Peter has done the same recently. So we've invited Phil Smith from the Plympton Foodbank along this evening to just say a few words about the work we're doing down there, and how our financial contribution will hopefully help them. So Phil, if you want to unmute yourself, the floor is yours.
Yeah. Well, it's I have unmuted. Oh, yeah,
Yep.
You can hear me, I hope. Right. I have just typed in a message to everybody in case we lose any particular communication. Yeah, when COVID started happening on March 24th with a shutdown, we had an emergency meeting with the two main Church of England churches in Plympton as part of a team ministry. And we decided we needed to act pretty quickly. And part of the idea was to support food in the local area, and a community public house, the Brook Inn, got into delivering meals to people who are isolated at home, and that was going to raise money, but it's non-profit making, but any profit went into a food bank fund. Now, that has generated over the last 12, 13 weeks or so quite a significant sum of money. However, we've had to spend some setting up money costs, and we have worked as an agency under another food bank at the moment to get advice and support. So we started on the 24th of March. We were running at the 6th of April. And since then, we've been supporting a number of families, most of whom are on low incomes anyway currently, but also there are some COVID-related loss of work, illness and shielding, which has led to a lot of difficulty for some particular families. We have had lots of donations from local people, but that now leaves us with a situation where we have about a ton and a quarter of food stored, long-lasting food, but with a promise, if that's the right way of putting it, from Trussell Trust, that the unemployment that's starting to come on board now will actually mean we will get rid of that in such a short period of time. We've got to be prepared to cope with that sort of sudden need. The amount of food we've got would only last theoretically about 40 families or 40 parcels. Now, that would not go anywhere in relation to the whole of Plympton alone. And in fact, the money that we generated is going to be a fighting fund to be able to buy food, as well as we're accessing food through our local supermarkets, Aldi, Tesco, and particularly Lidl may also be involved as well. And we therefore are starting a situation where we're getting into the reuse of food that might otherwise go wasted as well. So we're in a bit of an interesting position at the moment, trying to manage a number of different threads at the same time. The money which has been donated kindly by Rotary into this fund, we are guarding that carefully and making sure it's going to be used for food costs, not for any other related matters. And we're very, very grateful for that level of support. We've looked at where we are now, and our next stage is we become a fully fledged separate food bank under Trussell. We're in that process now, and that should be completed in the next month. We've signed the franchise agreements, and that will only work with the amount of support we have from the local community, and that includes the business community, and also communicating that we are here to help. Volunteers have been many and helpful, particularly those who have been furloughed, but that will start to change now as well. So we may find a rather tricky stage of keeping our volunteer base well and truly broad. We do have a list of about 25 to 30 people, prospective volunteers, but some of those will go back to work or change work, and then we may lose them, we know. But we're committed to support Plympton, where historically people have had to even travel to Plymouth to get food, which is a difficult bus journey at the best of times, instead of having it locally. Okay, Darren, I think I've summarised it.
Yeah, that's a very good summary there, and I'm sure Peter will agree that the work you're doing down there, having seen it firsthand, the stories you got down there, it's fantastic what you're doing for the community there. I'm sure I'm not speaking out of term here, but we'll do everything we can to help support yourselves there in the future there as well. So please keep in touch with us. Before we move on to our main speaker, are there any questions at all from the floor for Phil at all?
I just love that we hear it's 1.5 tons. You know, I've never done my food in tons.
Okay, there's no questions, but Phil, thank you ever so much for joining us tonight.
That's okay.
I'll say we will try and support you as much as we can in whatever ways we can moving
Thank
forward.
you.
Again, you're very welcome to stay for the remainder of the meeting. It'd be great for you to stay with us. And the next item on our agenda is our main speaker tonight. So I'm going to pass over to our main speaker finder, Peter, who's going to introduce our speaker tonight.
Well, this is a real pleasure, and you're in for a treat, because Cletus is one of the most enthusiastic members of the Plymouth Ghana Link. He's been a very good friend for a long time, and whenever we need anything done with the Ghana Link umbrella, for any crisis that I've got in my computers, I know that I can turn to Cletus and a friend. And if your computer's gone down, you need a friend. You really need a friend. But the story he's going to tell is not like any story that anybody else in this room. I challenge you to have such an interesting story. Cletus, over to you.
Thank you very much, Peter. Such a very good introduction. Thanks for inviting me to just share briefly with you my short story from Ghana to the United Kingdom. I hope you can all hear me. So I was born in Ghana in a little village called Bunkrugu, about a mile off Togo. So it's just a mile across to another country in 1966. So you can work out how old I am. Born of twins, boys, was the first to come out, and I'm the junior. And the second to come out is the senior. That is the culture. So the senior has to send the junior out to find out the well is suitable, and then they come. So it's remain as I am the junior of the two of us. My brother, or senior brother now, is also in Ghana and is an accountant in one of the districts. The nearest hospital was 45 miles away. So my mom obviously could not get to the hospital to deliver us, so we were just delivered locally. It took a month, 2 or 3 before there was a vehicle to the village. So we were almost completely isolated. So I started school really late. In the days, we had 1 block of 4 classrooms, but the primary school was from P1 to P6. So all those in P1 to P4 sat under trees, and the rest had the classrooms or the classroom blocks. So I was very lucky because we were growing a little bit. We had a little test on how to write the alphabet, the numbers 1 to 10. And you sat under a tree and they brought sand on the sand, and then you used your fingers to make it level. And the teacher will mention a number or a letter. Then you write it on the floor, and then you come around and say, yeah, good, 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 yes. And then you were promoted. So we got catapulted from P1 straight to P4, and then carry on to P6. And it was the British system of education. So P6, obviously, to middle school Form 1, and then to Form 4, and finish school. So I did really well in my middle school. I came out with a distinction, which was really good. So I got employed as a people teacher, and I had to teach in the primary school, which was 5 miles from the village I was born. And my first paycheck, my dad sent my senior brother with me, and they used to pay you in cash. So they sent this paymaster who would come on a motorbike and stay the whole week and pay the teachers. So my first paycheck, it was in cash. My senior brother had to walk with me to this postmaster, and we had to queue. All the teachers will have to queue to get their money. And when it got to my turn, I collected the money and my senior brother collected it. So I followed them back home, and he counted the money into 4. So my dad is married to 3 wives. So it was my dad and the 3 wives. So my mom was second. So the money was divided into 4. They all had it. And I just walked out with nothing, because that is the suffering they have suffered for me. So that was my first paycheck, just went. I didn't even have 1 penny out of it. They all collected it and did their own shopping, and that was it. That day you get to eat meat as well. So the women went and did their shopping, and they all bought meat. They cooked some meat, and then obviously got a little bit to bite and taste the stew or soup they would make that day. So that was done. Then I carried on teaching for 2 years. Then went to be trained as a teacher. And it was in Tamale, which is about 145 miles away from where I was born. And boy, it took a long journey It's 145 miles. It took 8 hours to get there. I mean, there were some of the times you had to walk 22 miles to actually get to a point where there were vehicles crossing. So at one point I had to walk 22 miles to a village called Nampanduri, then slept there, then got a vehicle to carry on to a place called Nalerugu and Gambaga. And this is a place where the British settled, as where they actually built a prison there for they imprisoned some of the first Ghanaians who were fighting for independence in Gambaga. Then carried on to a place called Wale Wale, and it is just lots of stops, and then you will be lucky to get a vehicle to carry on to Tamale. So I used to stay in Tamale. In fact, training as a teacher for 4 years, I spent probably 3 years of my life in Tamale. I couldn't go back to the village because when you went back, it was so difficult to get a means of transport to come back. It took a longer time. Even going home took a longer time also. We had the Catholic fathers who came around there, and they moved from village to village. So sometimes if you were lucky, you will get a vehicle and jump in your last journey. Otherwise, you will have to do a walk of 22 miles at least to get back to the village. So when I trained as a professional teacher for 4 years, I did really well in college again. So the college retained me in the training college to be a demonstration teacher for newly trained teachers. So they put me just close to where the teacher training college was. And I was one of the teachers they would use to bring trainees to watch me teach and then learn good manners and practice of teaching. So I was there for a good 12 years. And in that area, in my village alone, Bunkrugu alone, we have 15 languages. And I had to learn 2 languages because it's very complex. My dad is a Bimoba, and my mom is a Mamproshi. And they met and married because my dad was in the Second World War. After the war, he was recruited into the Ghana Police Service. And in the Ghana Police Service, he was posted to a place called Nalerugu, which is where the British built the prison. So he was there, met my first mom. Then my first mom caught my mother with second. So they came two. And then my dad was transferred back to the village to head the police services in Bunkrugu. There, they caught the third wife, and then my dad ended up with 3 women. It was also a taboo because the other women caught these women. He could not say no. So he ended up with 13 of us, all in a very big house. So my dad had his room, and the first one had the second room. My mom had the third room, and then the third wife had the 4th room. And then we, the boys, just hung around in little round huts around the house. So in growing up, there's about 2 years between each of the mother side. So 2 years gaps between all of us. And we just grew up. You didn't know your mom till you were actually grown, because everybody looks after everyone. If you are crying, they just collected you. And if they were breastfeeding at that time, you would be breastfed with them. So it is just a collective community in the house there where we all stay. So I probably was about to go to school before I actually recognized this was my birth mom. Otherwise, everybody's a mom. So when I first arrived in the UK and I had to go back home, I had to take gift for every one of them. And when I got to Accra and I was buying it, it's, well, who am I going to buy to? So I'm going to buy it for my moms. Oh, you've got 3 moms. I said, yes, I've got 3 moms. And I said, mom number 1, mom number 2, mom number 3. And when I get home, they all ran to the door, and each one of them wanted to carry me on their back, which is just the tradition. And then they want to get me water to drink and so on and so forth. And then they then have to sit down and listen to the story, because they say white man's land, the white man's land is totally different to Africa. So they want to hear everything about the white man, how the white man lives, what are the type of houses you live in, what do you do, how do you speak, why is it that you have only one language, and etc., etc. So I had to learn a language called Mamprishi, which was my mom's. And my mom came about 36 miles away from where my dad village is. My dad is Ibimo, but he's about 5 miles away from Bunkrugu, where I was born. So if I wanted to travel from here, the first time from Plymouth to London, 4 hours, 6 hours in the plane to Accra, and then it's an overnight of 12 hours to Tamale. So you just sat in the coach, and the coach made a lot of stops because the roads are not really good. So it's a very, very slow game. So they must at 6 o'clock in the evening, and you arrive 6 o'clock in the morning. And you're so tired. So I'll have a rest in Tamale. Then I do the 8-hour journey to Bunkrugu, stop in Bunkrugu. Then I will walk 5 miles to go and see my dad. And then they will sit in state because my dad became a chief later on. So the first time I went to him, the whole village descended to listen. And it just so happened, David was born. My first son was born. And I took the photo home, and we got to the village and sat down. They all sat, all the elders. My dad is sat in state. Almost the whole village is there. And as my dad announced my arrival, and then he said, well, I have got a son, and this is the son's name. So I named him Kinam. Kinam means I love everyone. And David obviously is after the granddad. So he said, this is the name of the Cletus son. They call me Kwan Lambek. It's called Kinam. And one of the elders got up and came and shook me. Oh, well done, boy. You have given birth to a white boy. Make sure you bring him home to Ghana. When he grows up, bring him home to Ghana so that he'll join the Ghana Armed Forces and do a coup in Ghana and become the president of Ghana. Have you heard me? And so we all burst into laughter about that, because one of the presidents of Ghana is of Scottish descent. It's called Rawlins. He was born in Scotland. So he did so well for the country. They also think, yes, our clan now, we have got a white blood in us. I must bring him home and must join the Ghana Armed Forces and become a president of Ghana one of the days. But that's the mentality they have. And they actually think that it is going to happen. And we sat there and had a very long conversation. And my technician called me. And those they had this mobile phone, which was a Nokia, this brick. And it just so happened that there was a mosque in Togo, one of the capitals. So it could pick the mosque, and the phone rang, and everybody went silent. So when I took the phone and finished talking, they came and collected the phone and said, where is the person you were talking to? Where are they? You know, and we had to burst into laughter, say, how can the white man ever do that? So you are talking to white man's land, you know, the way they say it is just so funny. I had to laugh the entire time I was there. So the phone went through everyone's hand just to make sure that there was no human being in that, in that phone talking to me. But that is just the way it was there. Obviously, it's changed now. They've got electricity. The last time I went home, the village had electricity. They've got running water now. Unlike when I was born, there was no running water at all. There was no electricity at all in the times that I was born. It was really, really hardships. And mortality rates for childbirth was really, really high. In fact, for every 3, probably 2, 1 will lose the life, 2 might have defect births, and so on and so forth. And we had a missionary from the Lutheran church that came with 2 pickups, and you would carry these ladies that had complications and go 46 miles to the hospital. And if they made it, and if they didn't, then it was just a very somber time when I was growing up, and I've seen quite a lot, yes, before I left the shores of Ghana. But yeah, if you have any question you want to ask, please, fire away.
So are you back in Ghana now, Cletus?
No, I am here I'm talking to you from Exeter.
Okay. Oh, so
because I work at Plymouth High School for Girls. When we arrived here, because I was a professional teacher in Ghana, I did look through, but decided to go IT way. And I work for Plymouth Marine Laboratories.
I see. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then got a job at Plymouth High School for Girls, where I'm currently the IT manager.
I see.
Yes.
Oh, well done. Oh, that's lovely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, it's nice you're here with us. That's great.
Thank you.
I'd love to hear a lot more about it. It's really fascinating what you're telling me.
Yes.
Hi, Cletus.
Hello.
Yeah, good to see. What changes do you think we need to do now with this global problems that we have health-wise? Do you think they'll bring us together? In your experience, having spanned cultures and miles, do you think it's going to have a positive effect?
It's very interesting you bring that, because where my mom is at the minute, they haven't even heard about Corona. They absolutely have no clue. They just live life as normal. In fact, I spoke to my brother yesterday. But what I have personally observed or think of moving forward, things will never be the same. Not in a million years. However, in some circumstances, it's brought us together, especially as a country, as a town, and as a household. A lot of men have come out to say they didn't actually think looking after kids was joy, because everybody went to work and the kids cried and so on and so forth. They completely changed their minds to that completely. I personally, if I get a chance, I won't go back to work. That is just to foster unity amongst us. Countrywide, it's a different ball game altogether. If you look at what's happening in America, and you want to compare it to here, it's a different ball game altogether. But I think society in this country have actually demonstrated that humanity still exists.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions at all for Cletus at all? Just looking around. Seeing none. Peter, could I ask you to give the vote of thanks, please?
Oh, I'm delighted. There's a couple of questions I really want to ask. I want to talk to David and make sure that if he gets a part-time job, that when he brings some money home, he gets to keep it rather than...
Right, well, that's never going to happen here, is it?
I told you it would be a story like no other. But what I admitted to say in my introduction was Cletus is IT manager in a big secondary school here in Plymouth. When he says my technician calls him, there are staff in the computer base on the first floor in Plymouth High School. There are staff working for him, machines everywhere, and he knows them inside out. It's a long journey from underneath that tree, but you can tell from everything in the story, you can tell that somebody excelled in everybody's eyes back in Ghana and back here in Plymouth and in Exeter. We hold them in high regard. The Plymouth Ghana link, and Mike Inman, who's here tonight, and Wynne, the Plymouth Ghana link it thrives because it's for people like Chris Apong, our Honorary Paul Harris Fellow, also from Ghana, Cletus, the Vice Chairman. We're very lucky in the brilliant Ghanaians we have in the city. And Cletus, who was for a long time self-designated the head of protocol, never come across head of protocol before, but he's a brilliant person to work with. And tonight's talk, I hope, gave you an inkling of that. Cletus, from the whole club and from all the other people here this evening, thank you very much indeed.
Always at your service. Give me a shout anytime. Thank you so much. And good luck with your deliberations, and I'll leave you in peace.
Stay around. You maybe stay around and have.